There are lines drawn across this planet that were never meant to be crossed. We have carved scars into the face of the Earth through sheer human defiance, challenging gravity logic and survival itself. We build arteries of asphalt and gravel along the crumbling edges of bottomless chasms, plunging through suffocating rock tunnels and over icy summits where the air is too thin to breathe. Why do we push steel and flesh into these unforgiving voids, knowing a single miscalculation means disappearing into the abyss? You are about to ride along the 10 most deadly stretches of infrastructure on the planet. Impossible routes so extreme, they challenge our very right to exist upon them. Yet true danger does not always announce itself with a crumbling precipice or a rusted warning sign. Sometimes the most lethal traps disguise themselves as masterpieces of blinding majesty, waiting quietly high within the freezing vertical embrace of the European Alps. Do not let the beauty deceive you, Eve. A ribbon of asphalt was never meant to be draped across the roof of the world. Yet here, high within the freezing embrace of the Italian Alps, an architectural fever dream slashes through the ancient stone. This is the Stelvio Pass, an impossible ascent reaching nearly 3,000 meters into the thin alpine sky. You grip the steering wheel tight as the climb begins. The air grows fiercely cold, biting at your skin through the cracked window. Absolute silence wraps around the jagged peaks, broken only by the roaring strain of your engine echoing off the sheer limestone walls. Ahead, the road contorts into a dizzying maze of 48 brutal hairpin bends. They stack tightly on top of one another, zigzagging like a colossal gray spine carved directly into the unforgiving mountain. You lean into every sharp turn, feeling the massive, unguarded drop, inching dangerously close to your tires. Clouds drift below your sightline. The green valley floor vanishes beneath a thick, swirling sea of white fog, leaving you utterly suspended in a pristine, frozen realm. But this blinding visual majesty is a carefully constructed trap. One missed gear shift, one slight miscalculation on a blind corner, and gravity claims its sudden toll without a second thought. There is barely enough room for a single vehicle to navigate the crumbling outer edge. Surviving a sudden encounter with heavy oncoming traffic hurtling down the steep decline demands absolute, unshakable nerve. Vicious alpine storms can strike in the middle of summer, instantly turning the smooth pavement into a slick, deadly chute of black ice. Up here, human engineering feels pitifully small against the raw and indifferent power of the earth. You realize that conquering nature is a fragile illusion, and your safe passage is merely a temporary permission granted by the mountain. But if you think the Alps demand absolute perfection, wait until you face a stretch of rock that actively tries to throw you into the abyss. But while the freezing peaks of the Alps challenge you with sheer brutal altitude, some of the most deceptive routes hide their fatal edges behind a warm, tropical illusion. You trade the blinding snow for the humid embrace of the Pacific, where paradise slowly tightens its grip into something far more sinister. Paradise has a way of hiding its most lethal traps beneath a canopy of blinding emerald green. Winding along the rugged northern coast of Maui, the Kahekili Highway promises a tranquil escape into untouched Hawaiian beauty. This ancient volcanic path is often mistaken for just another scenic island drive. You steer your vehicle away from the resort towns and plunge deep into the humid jungle. Sunlight struggles to filter through the tangled branches, casting sharp, unpredictable shadows across the worn asphalt. The heavy air smells of sea spray and damp earth. Your engine hums softly, lulling you into a false sense of peace. Soon the smooth pavement degrades into a jagged, uneven ribbon of crushed stone. You hug the towering cliffside as the route violently narrows without warning. Thick vines and dense foliage completely block your line of sight. You roll down the window and strain your ears, desperately listening for the faint grind of approaching tires over the roar of the ocean below. Suddenly, a cold wave of dread washes over you. The path shrinks to a single suffocating lane, clinging desperately to a sheer vertical wall. There are absolutely no guardrails separating your tires from the churning water hundreds of feet down. Tight, blind corners force you to edge forward a few inches at a time, praying a heavy truck does not suddenly appear from behind the overgrown rock face. If another vehicle meets you, head on, reversing along a crumbling precipice with nowhere to pull over becomes your only option. A single steering error on this loose gravel means dropping straight into the violent surf. Immersed in this beautiful but hostile environment, your modern sense of invincibility quickly evaporates. You understand just how effortlessly the wild earth can erase your existence without making a sound. But this creeping island fear is only a whisper compared to a gorge where the rock itself begins to crush your spirit. The creeping anxiety of an unguarded coastal cliff is merely a prelude to a far more suffocating trap. You must now navigate a jagged, violently carved gorge where the crumbling stone physically closes in around you, forcing a nerve-wracking standoff with the earth itself. There are scars cut so deeply into the earth that merely entering them feels like stepping into a trap. Hidden within the rugged backcountry of New Zealand Skipper's Canyon Road was violently hacked into the sheer rock face by desperate gold miners over a century ago. Moving forward along the dirt path, the towering walls immediately begin to close in around your vehicle. The bright sky shrinks to a thin blue sliver high above. A constant disturbing crunch of loose shale echoes sharply off the jagged cliffs with every rotation of your tires. Stagnant dust hangs heavily in the still air behind your bumper. Sweat forms on your palms as you grip the steering wheel. Glancing out the passenger window reveals absolutely nothing but a deadly vertical plunge into a dark riverbed far below. Every survival instinct within your body screams at you to turn back immediately. Yet there is absolutely nowhere to turn around. The cold mountain presses tightly against your shoulder, while the abyss actively pulls at your spinning wheels. Then comes the true waking nightmare. Creeping around a blind corner, you suddenly face another vehicle heading straight toward your headlights. This crumbling track is barely wide enough for a single car to navigate. Now you are forced to shift into reverse. You must blindly back up along an unguarded precipice for hundreds of terrifying meters. One heavy push of the brake pedal, one slight overcorrection of the wheel, and the fragile stone edge will simply collapse under your heavy weight. In this suffocating trench, your modern illusion of control completely vanishes. You suddenly realize how easily the decaying rock can erase your fragile existence without a trace. But if you think being pinned against an open cliff face is terrifying, wait until the solid earth decides to swallow you completely whole. Yet as terrifying as it is to cling to an exposed cliff face, the true nightmare begins when the open sky vanishes and the solid earth swallows you completely whole. You trade the peril of the open air for a suffocating stone tomb where the mountain itself becomes your prison. The most terrifying paths on earth do not merely run along the edge of the abyss, they drag you directly into its crushing stone belly. Hidden deep within the Taihang Mountains of China lies a passage born from pure, desperate isolation. The Guoliang Tunnel is not an engineered highway, but a violent tunnel hacked by hand through solid, unforgiving rock. You drive your vehicle into the gaping mouth of the mountain. Immediately, the heavy stone ceiling presses down relentlessly against your roof. Sunlight vanishes, replaced by a suffocating twilight that barely cuts through the swirling dust. You roll down the window, and the cold, damp scent of ancient rock fills your lungs. The deafening roar of your engine bounces violently off the jagged, uneven walls. There is barely enough room to breathe, let alone maneuver a heavy machine. You grip the wheel tighter, knowing that turning back is entirely impossible. Suddenly, massive holes blasted through the outer wall reveal the true horror of your situation. You are not just trapped underground. You are suspended hundreds of feet inside a sheer vertical cliff. You glance sideways through these crude, jagged stone windows. There are no guardrails, no steel reinforcements, and absolutely no margin for error. A single tire slipping on the damp, uneven rock floor will launch you straight through the gaping void and into the gorge far below. Buried alive inside this dark tomb, you truly feel the crushing weight of human desperation. It is a chilling reminder of the unimaginable lengths we will go to conquer our own isolation, even if it means carving a path through absolute terror. But if surviving a suffocating stone prison pushes your nerves to the breaking point, just wait until you are forced to drive where the road itself simply ceases to exist. Escaping the crushing weight of a stone prison might feel like salvation, until you realize the open sky offers absolutely no protection. You merely trade the suffocating dark for a terrifying, unprotected exposure where nothing but empty air stands between you and the abyss. Sometimes the earth strips away all illusions of safety, leaving nothing but a primitive fight for survival. High in the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan, a jagged scar cuts across the shadow of the killer mountain, Nanga Parbat. This rough, unpaved track is known as the Fairy Meadows Road. You grip the steering wheel with trembling hands as the comforting asphalt abruptly vanishes. The vehicle shudders violently over loose, jagged stones. Thick clouds of choking dust rise behind you, completely obscuring the terrifying drop in your rear-view mirror. You lean forward, staring intently at a dirt path no wider than your battered Jeep. To your left, a solid wall of unforgiving rock violently scrapes against your side mirror. To your right, the earth simply falls away into a dizzying, darkened gorge. You hear the deep, unsettling groan of your tires, fighting desperately for traction on the crumbling edge. A cold sweat beads on your forehead as the thin mountain air makes every breath a struggle. There are absolutely no guardrails here to catch a sudden mistake. Nothing stands between your spinning wheels and a lethal, silent plunge thousands of feet to the canyon floor below. As the incline sharpens to a grueling vertical crawl, reversing becomes entirely impossible. Every loose rock that tumbles off the unprotected precipice serves as a grim countdown, reminding you that gravity is actively hunting you. Passing another vehicle means inching out over the abyss until half your tire floats entirely over thin air. Suspended on this raw, unprotected ledge, you are completely stripped of modern invincibility. You exist entirely at the brutal mercy of the mountain, realizing just how terrifyingly fragile human life truly is. But if surviving a bare dirt ledge feels like a brutal gamble, brace yourself for a ruthless alpine battleground where the chaotic weather itself declares war on your sanity. Surviving an exposed dirt ledge tests your nerve against a silent fall, but the true nightmare begins when the environment itself violently turns against you. You trade the quiet terror of a solitary drop for a muddy, chaotic battleground where simply avoiding the abyss is no longer enough to stay alive. Some journeys are not measured in miles, but by the sheer desperate instinct to survive the elements. High in the Indian Himalayas, connecting the Kashmir Valley with Ladakh, lies a vital mountain pass. The Zoji La Pass sits at a staggering altitude of approximately 3,528 meters above sea level. You steer your vehicle onto what barely qualifies as a road. There is no premium asphalt here. The surface is mostly dirt gravel and thick, uneven mud, causing your car to violently dance with every rotation of the tires. A minor landslide leaves fresh rubble scattered across the treacherous path. You wipe the condensation from your windshield, but the thick mountain air remains heavy with tension. On one side, a sheer cliff presses aggressively against your mirror. On the other, a bottomless abyss waits patiently in the silence. The path shrinks until it is barely wide enough for a truck and a car to squeeze past each other. Avoiding oncoming traffic quickly escalates into a tense, dangerous battle of wits. You grip the wheel tighter, surrounded by white clouds and occasional glaciers, feeling more like you are off-roading than driving on a highway. This is where the true chaos of the mountain reveals itself. The route is notoriously treacherous, frequently plagued by heavy snowfall that usually forces it to close during the winter. However, the opening hours have been extended, leaving drivers completely at the mercy of sudden, erratic alpine storms. In this unpredictable environment, you realize that humans do not conquer this terrain. They simply endure it, hoping the mountain allows them safe passage for one more day. But if fighting chaotic weather tests your sanity, wait until you face an icy desolation so profound it attacks your very mind. While some environments force you into a frantic, chaotic battle for survival, the true test of your sanity begins when the noise completely fades away. You trade the violent unpredictability of the mountain for a vast, freezing emptiness where absolute silence becomes your most terrifying enemy. True terror does not always roar. Sometimes it suffocates you with absolute deafening silence. Stretching across the frozen expanse of northern Alaska, the Dalton Highway is a brutal lifeline carved through the Arctic tundra. It was built solely to serve massive oil pipelines, entirely ignoring any need for human comfort. You grip the steering wheel as the last scattered lights of civilization fade into a relentless white horizon. The biting wind howls against your frosted windshield, thick with swirling snow that violently attacks your vision. You feel the heavy, unpredictable crunch of packed ice beneath your struggling tires. Endless miles of barren skeletal trees blur past your side windows. The dashboard heater blasts at full power, yet a creeping chill still sinks deep into your bones. You reach for the radio, hoping for a human voice, but the speakers output nothing except the unbroken hiss of dead static. You are driving straight into a vast, empty void where the winter sun barely breaks the horizon and shadows stretch endlessly across the frozen earth. Every passing mile feels like a heavy anchor, pulling you further away from the living world. Then the terrifying reality of your total isolation sets in. There are no gas stations, no warm diners, and absolutely no rescue teams for over 240 agonizing miles. A single flat tire, or a sudden engine stall in this sub-zero wasteland, quickly transforms a minor inconvenience into a desperate, lethal countdown. Giant industrial supply trucks frequently barrel down the slick gravel, kicking up blinding clouds of shattered ice that can destroy your windshield in an instant. In this crushing emptiness, your fear shifts from the treacherous physical road to the dark depths of your own mind. You suddenly realize how incredibly fragile your existence is when swallowed by a vast landscape that simply does not care if you survive the night. But if you think the silent, frozen north is a psychological nightmare, wait until you drive across a road built upon a frozen graveyard. The silent dread of an empty, frozen void is terrifying. But it is nothing compared to an icy wasteland where you are surrounded by the unseen. You trade the fear of absolute solitude for a heavy, suffocating despair, realizing that the frozen earth beneath your tires is actually a 2,000-kilometer graveyard. Some routes across the earth do not just carry passing travelers, they actively entomb the forgotten dead. Deep within the unforgiving taiga of the Russian Far East lies a staggering expanse of dirt and crumbling gravel. This desolate track cuts a brutal line straight through the coldest inhabited region on the entire planet. You push your weary vehicle down the scarred, uneven surface. The endless Siberian forest closes in like a dark wall on either side of your freezing cabin. You hear nothing but the heavy, rhythmic crunch of your tires grinding against the hardened, jagged earth. A thick, gray fog often rolls quietly through the skeletal trees, completely swallowing the dim, pale sunlight. You grip the steering wheel tight, shivering despite the absolute blast of the heater. There is a heavy, unnatural sorrow hanging thick in the freezing air around you. The absolute isolation here presses down on your chest. The landscape feels less like a wild forest and far more like a vast, silent graveyard waiting for its next occupant. And that is exactly what this landscape truly is. Constructed during the darkest days of the Soviet regime by hundreds of thousands of political prisoners digging proper graves into the rock-solid permafrost, was entirely impossible. Instead, the bodies of those who perished from the unbearable winter storms and brutal exhaustion were laid directly into the foundation of the path you are driving on right now. You are physically rolling over a 2,000-kilometer cemetery of ice and dirt. In this frozen desolation, the true horror is not the brutal weather, but the staggering cruelty humans can inflict upon one another. You realize that your passage forward is only possible because of the immense, silent suffering buried just inches beneath your spinning wheels. But if navigating a haunted, frozen tomb drains your spirit, prepare to face a colossal mountain empire where the sheer scale of the danger defies human comprehension. Escaping a haunted, frozen graveyard offers no true relief when your journey forces you violently upward into the sky. You trade the heavy, suffocating despair of the dead for a colossal empire of stone, where the sheer, incomprehensible scale of the mountains instantly reduces your existence to nothing. There is a strip of asphalt so incredibly high, it brushes against the very ceiling of our world. Connecting the borders of Pakistan and China, this monumental artery cuts right through the heart of the most formidable mountain ranges on the planet. Known as the Karakoram Highway, it forces you to drive among the ancient giants of the earth. You steer your vehicle upward into an overwhelming landscape where the sheer scale of the stone instantly shrinks your existence to nothing. Massive snow-capped peaks of the Hindu Kush and Himalayas tower on every side, piercing the heavy clouds. The bitter wind howls violently against your frosted windows. You feel your heavy engine struggling, literally gasping for oxygen as you climb to an altitude of over 4,700 meters. Up here, the freezing air grows dangerously thin, making every single breath require a conscious effort. You grip the steering wheel with sweaty palms. To your right, a sheer drop falls away into a dizzying river gorge with absolutely no guardrails to catch a fatal mistake. To your left, unstable rock faces loom ominously over the fragile pavement. But the true weight of this epic journey comes from the dark history buried beneath your spinning tires. This soaring engineering marvel demanded a brutal toll. During its construction, devastating landslides and mine explosions claimed a human life for almost every single kilometer of road built. Even today, sudden flash floods and moving glaciers constantly erase entire sections of the asphalt, proving the mountain has never truly surrendered. Driving through this colossal corridor forces you to confront the absolute limits of human ambition. You realize we are merely temporary guests, passing through an empire of rock that could crush us without a second thought. But if the staggering scale of the Himalayas leaves you breathless, prepare for a descent where pure terror finally takes over. The incomprehensible scale of the world's highest peaks might make you feel utterly insignificant. But the final climax of this journey lies in a brutal, plunging descent. You trade the freezing majesty of the giants for a suffocating, rain-soaked abyss where gravity itself becomes an active, merciless predator. There is a path carved into the clouds where gravity does not just threaten you, it actively pulls you down. Clinging to the jagged edge of the Bolivian Andes, this violent descent plunges straight into the dense Amazon rainforest. It is universally known by a name it earned through sheer brutality: the Death Road. You grip the wheel until your knuckles turn bone white. The air is thick with a cold, blinding mist that constantly washes over the broken dirt track. You hear nothing but the heavy grind of your tires fighting for a fragile grip on the loose, wet gravel. A sheer vertical rock wall scrapes aggressively against your left shoulder. To your right, the earth simply vanishes. You stare down into a dizzying, dark abyss that falls over 3,000 feet straight into the unseen jungle canopy below. Waterfalls crash directly onto your metal roof, instantly turning the unpaved ledge into a slick, deadly river of mud. As you creep forward around a sharp, blind corner, the path shrinks to barely 10 feet wide. Suddenly, a heavy truck emerges from the thick fog, heading straight toward your headlights. Local survival rules dictate you must yield and take the unguarded outer edge. You are forced to reverse blindly, inching your back tires backward until they are literally hanging over the bottomless drop. Hundreds of rusted metal crosses and faded photographs line the crumbling precipice beside your window. They quietly mark the exact spots where entire vehicles vanished into the mist, without a single sound. Staring down into that fatal void, every modern illusion of safety completely shatters. You realize that surviving this brutal descent is not about driving skill, but a terrifying game of chance played against a mountain that constantly demands human sacrifice. Having survived the absolute climax of terrestrial terror, you must now ask yourself where the line between exploration and sheer madness truly lies. We have traced the deepest scars carved into the very edge of human endurance, surviving freezing alpine summits, suffocating stone tombs, and plunging jungle abysses. These impossible paths were never truly meant to be conquered. They stand as monumental testaments to our desperate, unwavering refusal to let the wild earth dictate our boundaries. We push steel and flesh into these deadly voids because the human spirit would rather risk absolute annihilation than accept permanent isolation. Yet, as the dust settles and our engines finally fall silent, the terrifying majesty of this planet remains completely indifferent to our fragile passage. We leave nothing but temporary tire tracks on a world that could effortlessly erase us in a single, violent breath. Share in the comments below which of these unforgiving routes you would actually dare to face, and subscribe to Scapes Travel. as we continue to unlock the most impossible secrets hidden across the globe. The Earth always has the final word.